My name is Rachel Monroe. I'm 39 years old and I work as an operations manager for a logistics company based in Chicago. For most of my adult life, I believed stability was built by staying calm, being reliable, and not asking too many questions as long as things appeared to work. That belief lasted until the night my husband asked for space. Ethan sat across from me at our kitchen table, his hands folded together as if he'd rehearsed the posture. He said he felt disconnected. He said life had become routine. He said he needed time to think, not because of anything specific, but because something felt off. His tone was gentle, almost considerate, and that made it harder to argue with. So I didn't. I nodded, told him I understood, and said I wanted things to stay smooth while we figured it out. That night ended quietly. No shouting, no slammed doors, no dramatic lines you'd expect from a marriage unraveling. We washed the dishes, turned off the lights, and went to bed like two people pretending tomorrow would feel normal. The next morning, while Ethan was still asleep, I sat at the kitchen counter with my coffee and logged into our joint accounts. I didn't do it because I suspected an affair or expected to find something shocking. I did it because my instincts had learned to speak long before my emotions caught up. At first, nothing seemed wrong. Bills were paid, balances looked stable. But as I scrolled further back, I noticed small transfers, spaced carefully across several months. Nothing dramatic, just consistent enough to form a quiet pattern. I didn't confront him. I didn't ask questions. Instead, I started watching. We washed the dishes, turned off the lights, and went to bed like two people pretending tomorrow would feel normal. Over the following weeks, Ethan's behavior shifted in subtle ways. He guarded his phone more carefully, started working later hours that never quite matched his pay stubs, and suddenly developed an interest in fitness and new clothes he'd never cared about before. Individually, these things meant nothing. Together, they told a story I didn't want to hear, but couldn't ignore. I opened a new bank account in my own name and redirected my paycheck without mentioning it. There was no urgency in the decision, no panic. It felt like organizing a file that had been misplaced for too long. I began gathering records slowly, methodically, saving statements, transaction histories, and screenshots without emotion. This wasn't about revenge, it was about clarity. The confirmation came on an ordinary Tuesday evening. Ethan said he was staying late at work. Later that night, while scrolling absent-mindedly, I saw a photo posted by a woman from his office. She was standing across a small restaurant table, smiling at someone whose hand I recognized immediately. He was wearing the watch I bought him for our 10th anniversary. That was the moment I stopped wondering. I didn't cry. I didn't feel anger rush in the way people describe. What I felt instead was distance, as if the situation had quietly stepped out of my body and turned into a problem that needed solving. The next morning, I scheduled a consultation with a lawyer. The conversation was efficient and calm. I wasn't asking what to do. I was confirming that I had already done most of it correctly. When I told Ethan I needed a few days to process, he agreed too quickly. Then he called. Then he texted. His messages grew more frequent, more uncertain as my silence stretched on. I could feel his anxiety growing, even though he tried to hide it behind concern. 3 days later, the paperwork was ready. When Ethan came home that evening, I placed the envelope on the counter between us and watched his expression shift as he read. Shock came first, then confusion, then something close to fear. "You didn't think you'd move this fast," he said quietly. "I didn't move fast. I just paid attention earlier than you realized." He didn't argue. He didn't apologize.
He simply sat there realizing that the version of me he had underestimated was the one making decisions now. He moved out within the week. Life after that didn't feel dramatic or triumphant. It felt steady. Bills were paid, my credit remained untouched, my routine stayed intact.
Some people imagine revenge as something loud and destructive, fueled by anger and confrontation. Mine never looked like that. It looked like preparation, patience, and choosing not to carry someone else's secrets anymore. I didn't celebrate the end of my marriage. I simply continued forward, knowing I had protected what mattered before it was threatened. And that was enough.